Coming up on the O State Report, the science guy visited campus and challenged cow people to change the world. Learn what he had to say.
OSU gave away its first tennis scholarship in 1938. Hear about the incredible life of the man who won it.
And Corbin Wheeler tells us how volleyball players get to play their game. Stay tuned. Hello, and welcome to the O State Report. I'm Samantha Morgan.
And I'm Jordan Pfeiffer. Here's what's happening at Oklahoma State. Folks from all over the state were in town to hear Bill Nye the Science Guy. Nye encouraged the sold-out crowd to go out and change the world. O State reporter Alyssa Casares was there and presents her findings.
The same generation of students who grew up watching Bill Nye in the classroom get to hear him speak tonight at Gallagher-Iba Arena.
OSU Speakers Board hosted the program featuring the scientists during the university's Research Week. Although Nye was set to take the stage at 7 p.m., his flight was delayed, but this didn't bother students. Eager audience members waited patiently and cooperatively until Nye took the stage over half an hour later. The scientist's agenda covered politics and science, sparking the interest and curiosity of many who responded with cheers throughout the speech. Nye used scientific data to back up all of his theories and encouraged students to go out and change the world. Patrick Allen is on OSU Speakers Board and said they booked Nye because he was someone who would draw in the whole OSU population.
And would really, his big name, and especially the effect that he's had on our generation, especially with this TV show growing up, we thought he'd be the perfect candidate to come speak to OSU.
Nye brought an experienced science and technology background to campus along with a good sense of humor. He spoke for over an hour and repeatedly encouraged the audience to challenge the common wisdom.
Wanted to feel that they were empowered to do something to make the world better, to leave the world better than we found it.
The crowd didn't budge once throughout the scientist's speech. Audience members showed appreciation and gave the bow-tied scientist a standing ovation when he ended his slideshow presentation.
I'm grateful that he could come to Stillwater and represent and show that any little thing that he says can make a difference.
Nye said the key to the future is not to do less, but to do more with less, and embrace those ideas that seem crazy because they just might work. For O State TV, I'm Alyssa Casares.
Supreme Court nomination hearings rarely pose a ratings challenge to the daytime soaps, but in 1991, the nomination of Clarence Thomas had all the sex and intrigue found in today's reality TV. Hill came to Oklahoma State University for a screening of her new documentary and to share her story. Cameras weren't allowed during the documentary, but O State TV reporter Amy Jensen took a look into the past to find out the details of this extensive trial.
University of Oklahoma professor Anita Hill took the Senate floor in 1991 during United States Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas's nomination hearing. Hill accused Thomas of sexually harassing her. In Hill's testimony, she described many instances when she said Thomas talked to her at work about sexual fantasies, pornography, going out with him, and used vulgar language.
Yes, they were very ugly. They were very dirty. They were disgusting.
Thomas denied the accusations, calling them,
"This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. It is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks."
In the end, the Senate voted 52 to 48 in favor of Thomas. For those who fought for Hill in this case, the loss brought a win. A heightened awareness about sexual harassment in the workforce.
These conversations, did he say, "I have great physical capability and attributes," or was he more graphic?
He was much more graphic.
There were a lot of facts that they didn't want the public to know.
This is an important issue, and the dialogue should not stop here.
To any victim of sexual harassment, the message is nobody's going to take you seriously, not even the United States Senate.
You are not drawing a conclusion that Judge Thomas sexually harassed you.
Yes, I am drawing that conclusion.
Well, then I don't understand.
Oklahoma State University Dining Services found a new way to spice up a vegetable grown in our own backyard. Faith Snellgrove tells us more.
Dining Services hosted a mushroom salad sampling in Adams Market. Oklahoma State tries to promote local produce by setting up sampling tables at hotspots on campus for students to try produce grown on Oklahoma farms. Adams Market Manager Steve Papendick explains how the produce is selected.
We feature different products, different years. Usually it's farm produce, and we wait till it becomes in season in Oklahoma.
These mushrooms were grown at JM Farms in Miami, Oklahoma. The mushrooms were featured in a salad with other Oklahoma-grown vegetables.
Bacon and eggs and all kinds of toppings in it.
There are about 3 samplings per semester.
Whatever is grown and is coming into being at that time is what we feature.
University Dining Services says the goal is to promote education of farms and produce as well as help the local economy. For O State TV, I'm Faith Snellgrove.
Oklahoma State University faculty members have decided to take down fat talk and body shame.
As David Tarantino found out, the OSU community will try to redefine beauty.
For a college student, the word beautiful can have many different meanings, whether they're good or bad. OSU has taken it upon themselves to promote the more positive definitions with the Redefine Beautiful campaign.
The OSU community is battling fat talk and body shame as part of National Eating Disorder Awareness Week. The campaign this year is called Redefine Beauty, and it caught the eye of many students. At the Colvin Center, students were able to post fat talk or harmful messages they've heard about bodies on a wall to promote awareness. On the flip side, there was a wall where students could redefine beauty and write words and messages about what they believe beauty should be about. One OSU student that helped out with the campaign, Sarah Klein, described how they were getting students involved.
What we're doing at the Colvin today is trying to redefine what beauty is and try to get rid of a lot of those negatives that people think of with being overweight or anything like that. And we're trying to, with a board over there, get people to write down things that are positive about their body instead of negative.
The OSU community also hosted a panel discussion about how college students can actively redefine beauty. The discussion was open to all students, and the panelists included Dr. Todd Green, Dr. Tamara Richardson, and Jen Carlson, who is an eating disorder survivor. All 3 spoke about different ways to acknowledge eating disorders and how important it is to not let the media influence perceptions of beauty. Carlson explained why it's so important to educate college students on the issue.
I think it's the most important population we can inform because eating disorders actually form the highest rate is kind of that transition from high school into college. And so if we can catch them early and have people who are in college detect them, they can be able to help save a life for someone who might be experiencing eating disorder symptoms.
For O State TV, I'm David Tarantino.
When we come back, Corey Duke introduces us to the man who pioneered the tennis scholarship at OSU.
Plus, the Olympics may be over, but our Ashley Chase has plenty more to say about it in this week's I'm Just Saying. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
This is your time to grow, to become a leader in every respect, by serving others before yourself, and together, achieving far more than you ever thought possible. You're not just here for an education, but to forever color your future.
It's an attitude, it's a pride.
It represents community, it represents family.
It's something that I know that I'll always be able to come back to.
The color orange means everything to me.
There is nothing muted about it.
The color orange is so bold and bright, and it represents the spirit and energy that every cowboy has.
How can you not bleed orange would be my question.
55,000 people, and it's all orange. And it really is an amazing, amazing sight.
Orange is that feeling when you're more proud of anything than you've ever been in your whole life.
It's something that you have to put yourself in to really appreciate. We're cowboys.
Sorry, I don't think this is going to work. I think you're at the
Welcome back to the O State Report. Stillwater has been around since 1889, but many may not know the rich history between then and now. There is a place right here in our own backyard that some are calling the hidden gem of Stillwater. The Shearer Museum of Stillwater History has been open and preserving Stillwater history since 1974. The museum has exhibits from the university featuring the first Pistol Pete head ever made, as well as an exhibit about how transportation has played a huge role in the town's founding, as well as how the town almost lost the university because of lack of transportation. Stillwater residents, as well as college students, don't know what they're missing out on.
To educate yourself about the history of your community and what makes it the way it is.
The Shearer Museum, go to the Shearer Museum Facebook page or visit their website at shearermuseum.org.
At first glance, the untold story of OSU's first tennis scholarship winner from the 1930s has surfaced. Corey Duke brings us this true story of the dedication and perseverance one man took to make going to college a reality, and how his legacy has stretched throughout the generations.
The Karlovich family looks as if orange might be their favorite color. But there's more to this family than meets the eye. A family legend sits before them, his 95-year-old eyes gleaming with tales of his yesteryears at Oklahoma A&M University. Robert Karlovich is reliving the memories of his high school years where he excelled in tennis. Little did he know at the time, but his exceptional tennis skills would secure not only his future, but the future of his family.
He didn't have enough money to go to college. He really wanted to go. He lived in Oklahoma City and he had a paper route.
Karlovich was determined to go to college, even if it meant hitchhiking from the state capital to Oklahoma State University. His plan when he got there? Ask legendary basketball coach and athletic director Henry Iba for a scholarship.
We went to his office, introduced ourselves, knocked on his door, and you know what he said? He said, "I'm glad you boys came to see me because you're asking for tennis scholarships. This year, I'm starting 2 scholarships in tennis and 2 in golf. You 2 boys can have the tennis scholarships, $25 a month." That was a surprise of my life, besides getting married.
Before marrying his wife, Karlovich was enrolled in the School of Commerce, earning a bachelor's degree in accounting and eventually his CPA. Rose Frances Antoinetti just so happened to be the distraction Karlovich needed in the midst of his studies while giving tennis lessons to students.
She was one of the students playing tennis, and I was, of course, observing as an instructor. And I noticed that her straps were coming down. So I went up to her, I said, "You can play better if you put that strap back on. Let me button it up for you."
The thing that I just am amazed every day now is my dad's love for my mom. You know, they don't make them anymore.
Before this fairy tale could end in happily ever after, Karlovich was summoned to serve his country.
In my senior year, I was listening to the radio at lunchtime, and I heard the war started. And we all knew right then where we were going to go.
Karlovich received 2 Bronze Stars while serving in World War II with the U.S. Army Infantry as a communications officer. After returning home from the war, Karlovich wed his bride and secured his legacy at Oklahoma A&M. He worked 30-plus years at Midwestern Engine and Equipment Company as the executive vice president.
All 4 of our kids went to Oklahoma State. I wouldn't encourage them to go anyplace else.
Truly a living legacy. For O State TV, I'm Corey Duke.
The OSU App Center and AAA teamed up to host an app competition called Hack Day. The event gave the students the opportunity to create phone apps and present them to the group. AAA branch manager Todd Thornton explains what this event consisted of.
All right, so what is the problem? A problem with spring break is... Started yesterday at 2:30. We wrapped it up around 2 o'clock this afternoon, and that's when they presented to the judges. We had 11 teams total, and I believe we had all but maybe 2 actually submit their projects. So I think it was really a great turnout.
The winning team took home bragging rights and a $3,000 check.
The Winter Olympics have come and gone, and curling has packed up and moved back to Canada until 2018. But before we close the door on the Sochi Games, Ashley Chase wants to get one more word in with this week's I'm Just Saying.
The Winter Olympics have melted away like an Oklahoma snowstorm, and now we get to look through the slushy, sloppy mess that was this year's Games. Never mind the fact that before the Games took off this year, Russia was in hot water with many countries over their stance against same-sex marriages. Considering how much pride Russia puts in their men's figure skating team with those fabulously tight, sequin costumes, you would think a little bit of gay would go a long way for them. But no, human rights were not the biggest issue for the American public at the start of the Games. Athletes and the Twitterverse were more interested in the Olympic Village bathroom stalls. After months of preparation and renovations, Olympic Village was still not yet ready to host the world's largest sporting event. And considering South Korea has already begun building a new railroad station for their Winter Games that are 4 years away still, it is easy to see why people are a little bit put off by Russian hospitality. And to think they used to be so hospitable. Some of the issues raise legitimate concerns, such as athletes' rooms not locking properly or locking a little bit too well. Granted, this is what has always made the Olympics interesting. Not everyone who watches loves sports. Some just watch for national pride, while others simply like to know what everyone else is talking about. And nothing creates good dialogue like some good old-fashioned first world complaints. There have been bigger issues involving Olympic Village in the past Games. Munich, anyone. So I think it's safe to say that a few inconveniences that pose no real threat can be overlooked. And then there were the actual games, and boy, what games they were. With main American stars like Lindsey Vonn out on injury, excitement began to dwindle. Americans that did show up to the games that were expected to win, Shaun White and Shani Davis, went home empty-handed. Some of the biggest darlings of the ice were Merrill Davis and Charlie White for taking home America's first gold medal in ice dancing. This left the rest of the American public to shake their heads and ask, what the heck is ice dancing? No, the real problem seems to lie in the fact that a little Russian skater took the world stage after being virtually unknown and taking the crown away from the seasoned South Korean vet, Yoona Kim. Some say her performance wasn't good enough to take gold. Others claim it was home court conspiracy to keep their skaters on top. Figure skating is the equivalent to the popular summer event of gymnastics. Both attract a lot of attention, and both are scored based on opinion. With so much being based on speculation, it's hard to say how much can be called cheating and how much can be called genuine scoring. I have never been a figure skater, but I have competed in performance sports. I have walked into arenas knowing that I did not have the home court advantage, and the scores reflected that. Right or wrong, it's just the way it is. Whether Yoona Kim was robbed of her second Olympic title or not, figure skating shares one other similarity with gymnastics. They are both a young person's sport. Remember when everyone was convinced that China was basically cradle robbing to win the Summer Games a few years back? Whether we like it or not, the Olympics likes a good story. Whether it's a bobsledding team from Jamaica defying the odds or a teenage girl overtaking her seasoned opponent in figure skating, the event loves an underdog. If everyone who was expected to win won the game, no one would tune in to watch. And that is what makes this year so interesting. And in the end, Russia is content with being Russia. The giant middle finger to Western civilization. Right or wrong, we should have expected nothing less. I think in hindsight, we all knew how the Olympics would go after the last snowflake and the opening ceremony would go. Ironic, considering it was supposed to be representing the Americas. I'm Ashley Chase, and I'm just saying.
And it's a big-time sport everywhere in the Big 12 except Oklahoma State. Find out who is trying to change that.
When we come back, Marcus Smart returns and Reed Ripley tells us how the team is doing now. Corbin Willer has sports after the break.
I quit.
We have in this facility just about everything that will meet your needs for health, wellness, and recreation.
We offer everything from, indoor, outdoor pools to basketball courts.
Flag football, basketball, volleyball, badminton, ping pong, dominoes.
Intramural sports will take care of the competitive edge, Our equipment room handles all the equipment you may want.
You can come in and just watch TV if you'd like.
We're all about open recreation as well, so if you just want to come in here and get a run on the track or on one of our treadmills.
You'll come and enjoy wide open spaces. You'll enjoy a spa style of architecture. Within the last 6 months, we've completed construction on the annex.
If you don't feel comfortable at all working out, if you've never done it before, you can get a personal trainer.
For me, the most of the troubles to lead a healthy and active lifestyle is having a place to go for it. And the Coleman is a great place to come. All you would have to do is just swipe your card, get a tour by one of our center managers, and you could be working out that day.
There's a quiet place on the outskirts of Stillwater where you can exercise and relax nearly any time of the year. Located northwest of Stillwater, Lake McMurtry has 27 miles of shoreline and more than 2,000 acres of surrounding parkland. Although a fee is required to enter, people can swim, mountain bike, walk, camp, and fish, among many other activities to do at the lake. Of those other activities, people can also fly remote control airplanes. Stillwater resident Paul Reinman comes to Lake McMurtry to fly his planes because it gives him all the space he needs.
Opportunity to come out here, free space, not crowded, beautiful scenery. You got the lake, you got the fields out here, and it's really a first-class facility for flying model airplanes.
Lake McMurtry has also recently added 2 professionally designed disc golf courses. The main office and bait shop near the dock can assist with fishing needs too. Marcus Smart is back with the OSU men's basketball team after 3-game suspension. Reed Ripley tells us how important it is to have Smart back on the floor.
Before Marcus Smart shoved Jeff Orr in Lubbock February 8th, there was little doubt he made the team better. Now there is no doubt. Smart's presence has been the sight for sore eyes, lifting the team's play and halting OSU's longest losing streak since 1973. It seems Smart wasn't overstating the impact his outburst had on himself and the team.
I feel like I let my teammates down. These guys mean a lot to me, and not to be able to be out there with them is a big, it hits me in my heart.
The losing streak pushed the Cowboys further and further down the Big 12 ladder, putting them on the edge of the NCAA tournament bubble. OSU can still reach the big dance, but the road won't be easy. The remaining schedule features 3 games against some of the best the Big 12 has to offer in Kansas, Kansas State, and Iowa State. Smart needs to continue to right the ship to keep the team's hopes alive, and Travis Ford says his star player is on the right track.
One day somebody in the NBA is going to get an incredible player, an incredible person who has learned a lot of valuable lessons this year that he's going to carry over to continue to make him a better player and a better person.
As for this season, Oklahoma State fans are hoping those lessons will help Smart produce a better team right away. For O-State TV, I'm Reed Ripley.
In today's O-State Sports Minute, while the men's basketball team was sliding, the women's team quietly climbed toward the top of the Big 12. Led by senior Tiffany Bias, the 15th-ranked Cowgirls are 10-5 in the Big 12 and coming off a Bedlam blowout against Oklahoma. The women have 3 games left in the regular season, starting with a game in Ames against Iowa State tonight. Now we head to baseball, where Coach Josh Holliday has gotten his team off to a blistering start. The Cowboys are 8-1 after a tournament in Arlington, Texas, and a home series against Oakland. In addition, the Big 12 named shortstop Donnie Walton its Player of the Week after he hit .500 with a home run and 11 RBIs. Walton and the Cowboys head to surprise Arizona Thursday to play in the Sanderson Ford College Baseball Classic. Now to the women with the bats. OSU softball has righted the ship after a rocky 2-3 start in Baton Rouge, including losses to LSU and Minnesota. The Cowgirls are now 10-5 on the season and have yet to play a game in Stillwater. They'll finally get their chance for some home cooking Saturday as the team starts a 2-game series with Arkansas Pine Bluff. The 6th-ranked wrestling team also got off to a rough start with losses against Oklahoma and Minnesota, but Coach John Smith got the storied program back on track. The Cowboys are 9-5 with one match left in the regular season against American before the Big 12 championships in Norman and the national championship in Oklahoma City. And that's your O State Sports Minute. Bump, set, spike. These words aren't often used on Oklahoma State's campus. That's because OSU doesn't have an NCAA volleyball team. I took a look at a sport that many wish got more attention. Each year, Cowboy fans can cheer on their Pokes in 12 different Division I sports. Volleyball is not one of them. That's because OSU doesn't have a collegiate team yet. But don't worry, if you are a volleyball lover, there is an alternative to fill the void. It may not be on a collegiate level, but OSU has a men's and women's volleyball club team. Kumail Al-Shati, president of the men's team, was surprised to hear that there wasn't a volleyball program.
Like when I was back home, I was really excited because I hear America is really good at volleyball. And I was thinking I'm going to join the university's team. But when I got here, there's no team.
Kumail was not the only one who was unhappy. Natalie Sobel, president of the women's team, expressed her disappointment about the absence of the sport.
I was kind of bitter. It's always hard being the only university in your conference that doesn't have that sport, and it's a major sport.
Players have recruited new members through the use of flyers, t-shirts, and word of mouth. They hope that these efforts will eventually land the team as a Cowboy Division I sport.
We have petitioned and done things to try and make it an official team, but generally the ruling is there's no facility for us to practice in right now.
While there is no facility for an official volleyball team to practice in, the club is able to practice on Court 2 in the Colvin Recreation Center on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Although they don't compete on a collegiate level, the volleyball team participates in tournaments around the country.
Last year we went to St. Louis, we went to San Antonio, we went to Dallas, I believe, and OU.
The OSU Volleyball Club is open to anyone interested. For O State TV, I'm Corbin Wheeler.
That's all the time we have this week. I'm Jordan Pfeiffer.
And I'm Samantha Morgan. For Corbin Wheeler and everyone here at the O State Report, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.